Good evening. It's a wonderful evening here again in the issues room here in studios. We're back with another broadcast, the 12th edition of the program. This evening we will be featuring two important people from Liberia. One is in the diaspora and one on the grounds as our studio guest. If you just joining us, we want to welcome you wherever you are to the issues room on Facebook, YouTube, picking up signal. This evening, it promises to be a good one. We'll be talking politics. But politics not in a negative sense, because sometimes people kind of align politics with just the dead water part of it. But tonight is all about the positive side of politics and what it's going to do for the future of Liberia. Again, we want you to invite a friend, share the link. We come on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 p.m. GMT. Let me bring in my colleagues. First, start off with Masa. Good evening, Masa. Welcome.
Good evening, Okano. Thank you very much. Hello to everybody out there. Thank you again for tuning in to us and with us. And hopefully you will have a wonderful evening as well. Thank you.
And Moses.
Yes, let me say hats off to everybody. Hi to everybody. It's good to be back in the issues room with another interesting topic of discussion.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. And our guest, I would like to bring in our guest before we go any further. Mr. Amin Modad is the chairman of the Unity Party, and I would say the chairman now of the CPP. I think he's playing dual roles. The fact that the Unity Party is now at the helm of the chairmanship of the CPP, and Mr. Mounir Keshan, a staunch supporter of the Alternative National Congress, the ANC, this evening. Gentlemen, welcome to the Issues Room, your first time, but this is our 12th edition, and we're very, very happy that you guys accepted our invitation to come in and join us in this discussion.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here again.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for Kano, Masa, and Moses. Thank you very much. And thanks to my brother for coming. I hope we have a nice conversation.
It will be. It will be. You and I know, and the world knows, that the Collaborating Political Parties is a coalition dedicated to clinching the Liberian presidency in 2023. You guys came together, and that's a conglomeration of the ANC, the Unity Party, the Liberty Party, and the All Liberian Party, the ALP. All of you came together back in 2020 and wanted to, just put your resources, your photos, because you saw it that the way to, unseat the current government is through a conglomeration of the strong political parties. But lately, there's been a lot of noise in the air regarding, I don't want to use the term infighting, but just disagreement coming from the ANC, the Liberal Party, the UP, and you guys will straighten it up tonight. But where are we going at this point with regards to what's trending? We watch the news, we see what's coming through. The first noise that was made had to do with the forgery of some document through the NEC, that the ANC chairman was responsible for that, and that started this whole saga. So let me start with you, Mr. Chairman, and then my colleagues will come around the room.
Okay, thank you. Look, let me start. Let me start by saying that I, the Unity Party, fervently believe that collaboration is the best option that we have to fulfill this common agenda of removing the current administration that has clearly fail the Liberian people. Uh, you will only be selfish. You will only be detached from the reality if you believe that if this collaboration is the single option to have a one-shot victory, that we should squander or not exhaust every opportunity to make it happen. Look, I've always said that we are in a very contentious environment. You have two candidates, two political leaders who have, evolved as the front runners for the presidential uh, candidacy for the CPP. We will expect contention. We will expect competition. We should expect, differences of opinion, differences in strategies, and we should be prepared to resolve those issues. And once we can demonstrate that we can resolve, this microcosm of of our state, that four parties that represent the opposition, we can demonstrate that we can effectively make no mistake. Each of the political leaders bring a lot of good, a lot of personal strength to the table, but realistically, there are also some weaknesses. They are all humans. We are all humans, and that makes it that makes us in touch with the reality. Makes us in touch with the people, the feeling, what is happening in the country. I don't think whatever that's happening within the CPP is unresolvable, uh, and I don't think at any point in time any political leader should not have the right, or any individual, in the party that represent the people, to raise issues and concerns. And at such point, we should be able to take responsibility and address those issues. Uh, Now, one of the things that seem to be exacerbating or making more profound the issues within the CPP, again, resolvable issues, are some of our inabilities to control the zealots out there. People who do not represent do not clearly represent directly the political leaders, but who are affiliated with the parties, and are going out there saying the wrong things, uh, not only saying the wrong things, interpreting uh, innocent statements to suit, their political agenda. We need to be careful about that. Those are one of the things that we need to resolve. So, in a nutshell, I think we're on the right track, and I think we're reaching decisive periods within the CPP. We have up to December to exhaust one of the processes within the CPP, which is the consensus process, uh, to select the standard bearer. And if that doesn't work, we will get into the next phase.
Moses?
Yeah, I would just like for the chairman to clarify for us. I heard you say that the primary objective behind the formation of the CPP as an alliance is to unseat Mr. Weah. And I heard him say that the Weah administration has failed Liberians. How does he explain that? When you use the word failed, how do you explain that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think I believe the trajectory we had for the past or post this administration, regardless of some of the gaps and lapses, was in a positive sense. We're in a positive direction. Uh, the first area that I think this administration failed is reconciliation. They came in with a very selfish and unilateral disposition, where if you are not keen to their policies, you're not part of their party. If you don't subscribe to their beliefs, automatically you became enemy. And even to the point where they dismiss people within the government that were institutional members because of their affiliation with other parties. I myself, coming from the private sector, I experienced my share of the adverse reaction from the government. So that non-reconciliatory disposition impacted our capacity, as a people to move forward. And I also think they never had the appropriate strategy. We heard about the pro plan that has not really taken foot as it should be because there wasn't a strategy and the, there wasn't experience enough to drive that process. The economy is bad. Today we have appreciation of the of the Liberian dollar, yet still prices are higher than ever before. We have a situation where, as a responsible government, we will have, as other
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, I thought
Okay. Are you there, Mr. Chairman?
he's back. He's back.
Okay. Oh, we lost him.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay. Are you there?
now you tilt yourself upside
Yeah,
down.
You have to take your camera. Yeah.
All right, you're good.
Is that-
You
Continue.
go, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead.
And we have a situation where while other countries are putting in policies and strategies to circumvent the impact of the COVID, we're still here making music and doing things that demonstrates that we are not actually ready. The livelihoods of the people are suffering. You go into the streets, you see poverty at its highest. People are suffering. The healthcare system is deplorable. You will live by the mercy of God. People die for people are dying in Liberia for things for illnesses that are in the least manageable. You have an education system that is still crawling. The banking sector is stifled. There isn't any growth. When President we took over, he said Liberians wouldn't be spectators in the economy, but Liberians are more marginalized than ever before. Governance is at its lowest. In recent times, security. Those are all the pillars that will make a sustained, a country with sustained progress. All those pillars are at the lowest, and there are a million of reasons why. So yes, I believe this government has failed. You have, in the way our political system is built and the way our government is built, you actually have the first 2 years to really impact the country. You have the first 2 years to really put in place the strategy that would drive progress and circumvent any slow period. You have the second set of 2 years where people start preparing for midterm elections, which we just had. And the last 2 years is all about the presidential elections. So what you haven't really done, the structures that you haven't really put in place in the first 2 years, and maybe 3 years, you're really not going to be able to do it in the last 2 years. So suffice to say that progress for the next couple of years of this administration is elusive, and giving the presidency to giving leadership again and trusting this government for another 6 years would be one of the greatest mistakes that we can ever make.
Thank you.
Asa?
Gentlemen, I was looking at the objectives of your framework document and some of the key objectives for which the CPP was formed. And I'm looking at Article 4 that says the CPP must present a single presidential ticket or legislative candidates for all elections leading to and up to and including the 2023 elections. And then the other aspect of your objective also says that the CPP must forge it must forge a common national interest and present a common political agenda to the Liberian people. So, gentlemen, where are you guys now with meeting these framework objectives?
Okay, as I stated before, we're in, according to the framework document, we have up to December to utilize one process, which should be the process of consensus building, to select the single ticket. And from our calculations between November and December, the phase we are in now is to select an independent, a lead person from outside, an independent, credible librarian, uh, to lead the process that involves the collaborating parties to ensure that we have that ticket by December. Now, if we don't have that ticket by December, then we get into the uh, next phases dealing with uh, having the voters perception survey. If that doesn't work, which might not be binding, as some people claim, but again, the voters perception survey should be binding in a way that if the people speak through that survey, we need to be keen on it. But for any reason, again, the voters perception survey doesn't work, then we get into the last phase, which should be to uh, the voters voting process.
Let me come in quick. Mr. Mounir, um, you know, I'm sure you've been following what is trending regarding the situation of the CPP and being a staunch supporter of the ANC. Fingers are being pointed at Mr. Cummings. Uh, he's not cooperating, and you and I know that this has a propensity to begin to sway the voting public. If the mother and the father are forcing, what do you think the children going to do? They're going to either take side, or they're going to say, wait a minute, our parents are not even being examples. So if the CPP is not ready to, put their resources and time and energy together, then what's going to happen here? So you tell me, why is Mr. Cummings not cooperating?
Okay, thank you for kind of, thanks to everyone. Thanks to the chair making for coming up. Let me start with this. The CPP was organized. They started with three political parties first, which was the ANC, UP, and the LP. Before URE came in, they came together because they try to put themselves together to hold this government accountable, just in case there's any problem. And which this government, I can't say they failed, but they disappointed the Liberians because most Liberians saw themselves in George Weah, and he disappointed them. So we were almost like a check and balance. And then we decided to collaborate because no one party can just come up and win George Weah. Let us be honest. George Weah is still around 35 to 38%, whether we like it or not. So 51% of the votes are in the opposition. Coming together, make them stronger. Now, people are saying that Mr. Cummings is the problem. Let us be honest to ourselves here. Everyone came into this coalition as like a first division team. They all political parties. No one got more numbers or whatsoever because it's not proven. Forget about the 2017 elections. So when it comes to contributions, they all 100%. No one paying 10 cents, another person paying 5 cents. They are all political parties with equal ranks. Now, after they put this document together, people are saying that from the same group that Mr. Cummings should go as vice president. Where in the war anyone ever ran for vice president? No. The CPP document states that once you sign, your membership is no more active. That means you honor one umbrella, which is the CPP. We all agree they got to go to the first stage, the second stage, and then the last stage, which is the primary. Which I know the first stage, the consensus building, they all must agree when they go into that room. They must agree to a set standard bearer and vice standard bearer. If not, they go to the VPS. The VPS is not binding. Mr. Cummings was the one that proposed that VPS. Everybody went against the VPS. And I can still remember Mr. Ure spoke on the VPS that Mr. Cummings was bringing people to come and decide who to be president. So they use the VPS not just for record's sake. And that VPS will be taken to the convention. When you get to the convention, where according to the document, that every party carried 310 votes and delegates. Now, imagine Mr. Ure coming up before we even start the process that I'm supporting Boaka. Yombly came up and said, I'm supporting Boaka. So tell me, who's supposed to be afraid in our group? It's Mr. Cummings. Because technically, Mr. Cummings is still saying, let us play by the rules. Let us go to the convention. When I lose, I will support you. Don't tell me what to do. You can't push me that I must go as a VP. No, 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 no. Let us go to the convention. To show that Mr. Cummings is not afraid, that he's willing, he has an open mind. He want Liberia to be good. He's doing everything because of Liberia. Let me give you guys an example. If UP show of the 310 delegates, ALP show of the 310 delegates, UP got 620. Yombly one vote. It's 621. The rest go to Mr. Cummings. UP is the standard bearer. But yet, said Mr. Cummings still not afraid. He said, let us go to the convention. But you see, in politics, it's not like when you're applying for a job where you're going to take a resume and they look at it and say, oh, yeah, you got experience in it. You must go to the people. And what we brought to politics today from Mr. Cummings, he has changed the way we campaign in Liberia. After every election, all the oppositions will go and sit back and relax and come back a year to election. But what we did after the election, we came out to reintroduce Mr. Cummings, and he traveled the length and breadth of Liberia, went to all the counties, spoke to everybody. Mr. Boaka went there, no. Ure traveled, no. Yombly traveled, no. They never traveled. They never went to the people. They only sit right in Monrovia. But Mr. Cummings had built his confidence, came across the UP supporters, the ALP supporters, and they don't see their leader. So tell me. Then they came out with a fiasco thing. First, they started with black voting, which we know nothing called like black voting. There's no we can do black voting. For example, let's take if the four candidates were bringing candidates, if the four parties were going to produce candidates, and we agreed to black voting, would there be any leader, any winner? No. Because I would notarize my vote, you notarize your vote, we go to that convention, it will be zero. So let's forget about black voting. They try it, they fail. Then they came up with this thing where they say, when Ure, okay, now this is the problem here. Ure is the one who came up with this whole allegation. If Ure was serious and want this CPP to stand together, the first thing as a leader, when you get such information, you call the chairperson, you call all the political leaders, go behind closed door and say, this is the information I'm looking at. What's going on? But instead, no. You wrote a letter, you put it on Facebook, you send it all over social media. We saw it on social media. It was not even sent, it was all over. So Mr. Cummings wrote and said, listen, Madam Chair Lady, you need to investigate this thing here. I know, and I can quote that particular place. He said, I know Mr. Ure is not talking to me, but I believe he's talking to us. So please investigate. People say, oh, Mr. Cummings should go hard. You know, Mr. Cummings is a cool guy. He said, no, let's take it easy. If you get such information, you brought it out there, everybody all over the place. It never stopped there. They decided to put a team together. And Mr. Costa, who is a surrogate of the LP.
Mr. Keshan, I just want to pause here a little bit. Provide a clarification for people who are viewing and watching, who are viewing and listening to you at the same time. When you say Mr. Ure made an allegation, what kind of allegation did he make? What was he talking about?
He said
that for our people.
He said the CPP document was tampered with. The one
what
that was
kind of document?
The framework, the FA, the collaboration framework document.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. He said it was tampered with. The one that was taken to NEC, it was not the one they signed. Okay. So different copy was taken to NEC. According to his, as he said, whistleblower, someone from NEC gave him the information. But let me bring that. I said, when he got that information, if you were serious about this CPP, The first thing you do, you go behind closed door and expose these things and say, this is the situation here. Instead of bringing it to the public. You cannot, and when you bring something to the public, the first thing that comes to mind, oh, I was the chairman at the time. You don't need to call my name directly. But if I present if you tell me, Keshan, go down the road, and you say, oh, something got missing during my time, who do you think you're talking to? You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You're talking to Mr. Cummings, the ANC. So all these things went over, and we try to soften it. And then all the different allegations start to come. Mr. Cummings want to bribe the voters, want to bribe delegates. Mr. Cummings wants to do this. So they want to change the voting. It came from what his name, he was on Spoon, the Secretary General for UP. He started it. He said, this is what we're going to do. But it was not in the document. We all saw the document. But let me tell you the real truth of the whole problem.
And that's what I was about to ask you. Is
there's
Mr.
something
Cummings,
in the document.
Mr. Keshan, is Mr. Cummings the problem?
No. Mr.
Okay.
Cummings is not the problem.
Okay.
One man can never just be the problem. It's a simple thing. If
All
you
right.
got 4 men and one is the problem, if this one is problem, you disassociate yourself and
Okay.
leave him standing and move on. You
All
can't
right.
tell him to leave the apartment when he got a lease already signed and you bring the police. No. There's a clause in this document. No party can leave now.
Okay.
Most people never saw it.
All
That
right.
is the real truth.
Okay.
That if you go, you cannot leave.
Yeah, let me come to the chairman quick. Mr. Chairman, so who is the problem and what is
Okay.
the problem?
Listen, I committed coming on this program to address the way forward in a positive reconciliatory position. And I'm caught between the scissors in the sense that as the party that's assuming the leadership of the CPP, just when all these are evolving, I must not and I cannot delve into any discussion that might point to any of the political leaders, because as far as I'm concerned, there are still a lot of unresolvable issues that came out in the press, came out in the public when they were not supposed to. Okay, but I'll say this: at any point in time, any political leader or any of the political parties have the right, clearly, any democracy, to come up and say there are issues. How it's presented might be, might be debated. And in this case, one of the political parties, one of the political leaders, came out and lodged a complaint. As far as I'm concerned, in the due process, there should be a due process where it is investigated. Uh, every party should collaborate with him for through the investigation. But one thing must be clear is that noting and knowing the sensitivity of this issue that has national significance, we need to be discreet, about the integrity of our political leaders while that investigation is going through. From the report that was given by the committee, so the political leaders came up and set up a committee to investigate the process and see where there were issues. I'll not get into the details. If it's already out there, everybody has access to it. But clearly, there were lapses identified in the process. There were some changes made to the documents, pointing again to the lapses in the process. There were structural changes as far as the document is concerned. But my point here, and again, is how it's presented, and it's about us following through on the investigation, that people need to take responsibility for changes in a legal document. From all indication, when the original document was signed by the 4 political leaders, they were presented to particularly when Secretary General Ali took them around, he handed them, or he presented them to the ANC in person of Mr. Aloysius Stowe, who was then the Secretary General of the CPP. So, in all fairness, it was presented back to the leadership of the CPP at that time. One of the main contentious issues that have been brought up is that where are those original signed documents? Okay. To me, if they had been presented at the time that they were requested for, it would have addressed a lot of the issues that evolved. Now, a lot of the processes are still in this investigation, has not been completed. There are several steps that we should have taken, we are to take before a lot of the information in that process were leaked. In fact, when the investigative report was submitted, because of previous leakages of information, they were only presented to the full political leaders, so that they take charge of the document, moving into the next phases, which would have been reaching out to the legal team, the lawyers who worked on the document to provide their opinion. It was only fair that we did so as not to discredit their efforts, and to ensure that we understand where those changes were made. The process hasn't been completed. It has been sensationalized back and forth from all sides. Every point along the way, a group will come up and say, these actions vindicate Mr. Cummings. Another group will come up and say that this verify that Mr. Cummings was involved. There's another group that that is just concerned about the processes, that probably there were lapses in the process, that these are resolvable issues. Let's get back to the table. Let's see where those lapses are. And that group is not throwing blames all around. My caution and my advice to everyone, including the four collaborating political parties, is to allow the process to be completed. Let's stop sensationalizing the investigation. Let's stop sensationalizing the process. We still have, and I think that's why we saw the recent response by the lawyers. They became hesitant to even provide their opinion, and that was because of how the process was managed, how information keep on getting out there. Before what could be resolvable is being politicized. So my position on this, and I think clearly the standard bearer's position on this, the United Party, who happens now to chair the CPP, is let's approach this from a reconciliatory perspective. At the end of the day, let's take responsibility for some of those lapses that happened during our leadership. Okay, I made a comment, and I just want to clarify this comment that I made on Facebook, and that has been interpreted wrongly, where I stated that Mr. Cummings, I alluded to the fact that Mr. Cummings must take responsibility of actions that happened during his leadership. Is that accusatory? All these things, the major part of these things, happened during Mr. Cummings' chairmanship of the CPP. There are some unresolved issues that he has to take responsibility for. And saying this doesn't antagonize him, doesn't indict him. I'm not saying this to indict him or to verify, whatsoever that's happened thus far. The conclusion of the investigation will determine how egregious any action was. Okay? And who knows, maybe this is the opportunity for us to go back to the original CPP framework document and address some of those issues that are evolving. For example, Mr. Keshan stated that the document states emphatically that no one can leave the CPP. That is one of the changes that were made along the way from the original document. And between you and I, democracy, constitutionally, people should have freedom of movement. Okay, the first framework document stated that if you do leave or lean to the fact that if you do leave the CPP, you cannot run under the banner of the CPP anymore. Okay, and I think we need to go back, and these are one of the reasons why uh, there might be a need for review. Let's stop pointing at individuals and let's start preempting the results of the investigation. It's not only the unity partisans, or as ANC is accusing, or the Liberty partisans or the ALP partisans that are preempting this. Take for example when this letter came out from the lawyers, the news out there was that it vindicated, or it clearly states that Mr. Cummings, and I think using the word guilty of Mr. Cummings, vindicated Mr. Cummings is a little bit too harsh, because again, there hasn't been any conclusion, but it did not say anything. It did not accuse or vindicate anybody. The statement from the lawyers were clear that they were hesitant in responding to it. Now, if you go wild and start using this as a basis to say people lied on Mr. Cummings, people are trying to, to bring Mr. Cummings down, to gang up on him. And again, on the opposite side, if people are using it to say that Mr. Cummings is guilty for anything, it's wrong. It's perpetuating this onslaught of public debate and public misconception of the entire process. I
So,
believe it is
mhm.
resolvable. We have a couple of concrete steps forward. We have just assumed the leadership. The next step will be bringing back, because there has been a hiatus in the process. In fact, we need to proceed by first understanding which framework document, which version that we are operating, because it's very significant in us moving forward. And it's imperative not only for the UP, it's imperative for the ANC. It's imperative for everyone within the collaboration to understand which document, which version we will be working with. And I think that's the process. If we work together, we can have this thing sorted out in the next 2 weeks. But
So,
if we're,
yeah.
pardon me,
So,
Go
Mr.
on.
Chairman,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
Mr. Chairman,
continuing? Because I was bringing in Masa. Moses, you want to go?
yeah, I
Yes,
just wanted
can
to
I
ask the
say
chairman
something?
a question quickly. Amasa quickly, let me just ask the chairman a question. Mr. Chairman, it seems that you guys have an uphill task. Uh, 2023 elections is approximately 26 months away from today. And up to now, you are still struggling in resolving a matter that is within your confines. You are not sure whether you have a framework document that you can use in executing your job duties and responsibilities because of this internal rift. So if you are still struggling despite all of the mechanisms that you guys have in place to resolve conflict, the internal and external mechanisms that your document, your framework document provides for, you're still struggling to resolve this problem, then how can you convince the Liberian electorates that, hey, come 2023, depend on us for national leadership? How do you
Well,
guys intend to do this?
well, the first thing I think we're demonstrating tenets of democracy. You have four different political parties, four
Mhm.
different political leaders uh, that are working together towards a common goal. And again, we will have differences about this. Today is about content in the framework document. Tomorrow it might be another thing, okay? And one of the clear things is that we have not exhausted the mechanism, the internal and external mechanism to resolve those issues. So I don't think we have failed. We haven't failed at all. We are far from failing in resolving this. Uh, I think if we give each other the chance to get back on the table, which we are working towards, within the next 2 weeks, we'll resolve this and we'll be back on course. We have not deviated far uh, from the work plan, if I may say, or from what we should be achieving. We're still within the period of consensus building, and so we are still on track. And over the last few days, since these issues have been coming, don't forget we have just assumed the responsible leadership of the party. We have barely gotten the turnover notes. Uh, we have already begun speaking with our colleagues in all four political parties. We have scheduled a couple of meetings for next week, and those will be the basis of determining, the way forward. We will come to the table. We will agree on the way forward. I don't think we have reached to the point that we will not agree. I just advise all of us that when we get back to this table, we should come back with the same disposition we join the collaboration. We should trash out our differences. We should look objectively on the way forward and take responsibility. Sometimes just taking responsibility, from all sides, whether it's responsibility for accusing wrongly, whether it's responsibility for yes, mistakes happened during my period, whether it's the responsibility or the collective responsibility that we did not really follow through the process of reviewing the framework document at the right time. You know, we will identify those things. And it wouldn't if we had done some of those soul searching and willingness to move forward last week without the zealots going out there from all sides, I think we have resolved it. But one thing is clear, one thing I can tell you that is clear from all the individuals I've spoken with, including the political leaders, all the political leaders, there's a genuine interest in moving forward and resolving this.
Thank you. Thank you. Masa?
Um, as you guys, my question is going to be a two-part question, and it goes to the both gentlemen. At the signing of the framework I think it was held at the Farmington Hotel, something, right? Mr. Ures spoke at the time, and during that time, he did hint that there was some disgruntlement between he and Mr. Cummings. And but he did say that there was nothing that they couldn't handle and they couldn't resolve. So let me just quote him here. At that signing ceremony, he said, fundamentally, I don't believe there are any differences between the ANC, the Liberty Party, the Unity Party, and ALP. Our only problem is our political ambitions. We must lay our political ambitions aside and think about the suffering of our people. We must listen to the will of the Liberian people. My question here is, even as early as that, was that a foreshadow of what is unfolding now? And then part B to that question is, how is this individual political ambition that he spoke about coming to play? How has it contributed to all these problems that you guys are having now?
Let's start. Let's start with Mounir. Let
Okay.
and
Hello.
then I mean you can
Yes.
come on the back end of the answer the question.
Yes, but I want to dive into something before you ask the question because
The question has
I
been
may.
asked,
No,
Mr.
no, no. Listen. You see, you're asking the question, but when we're discussing something, and I supposed to at least say and respond, and then you come with a question, then it's like you only want to answer the question and don't even
No,
because he
go ahead,
said some
money.
stuff concerning. So your question,
Oh, you mean you want to speak? You want to speak to Amin's comment?
yes, yes,
Okay.
what he
No.
was
Go,
Okay.
saying.
go
So
ahead,
then
money.
please we'll come
Yeah.
to your question. Yes.
Okay. Go
Okay.
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
yes, Ami said something concerning the framework, and which is truth. It was not part of the document before, and the lawyers added it, but that is neck. That's a law at neck. A group of political parties cannot register and then you leave and register separately. The lawyers wrote neck. And after they sent that letter to neck, neck explained to them, say, listen, if you guys come as a group, tomorrow you can come back and go separately. So that is clear. And according to this framework, I don't know if there will be anything better than what they have right now. That is the best. I went through it because what happened in 1987? The coalition came together, the oil alliance, they could not work up. They broke up at the end of the day. So this thing, that's the only way to hold them together. That once you're part of this thing, you're not going to get out. Yes, you talk about rights. As an individual, you can leave this group and run as an independent. But no political party will be able to run until after 2023. So even if Mr. Cummings get out today, he will not be able to run. But four of them can go, the four parties can go to neck and get the framework back. But we all know the problem here, he said something. They believe and they started it that Mr. Cummings is going to bribe the delegates. So if Mr. Cummings bribe the delegates, then Mr. Cummings want to ride on the backs of Mr. Boyka and whatsoever that what they've been singing. So they want to get that framework from neck and then redo it, and or if they cannot fix it, they all will go apart. Let us stop the whole thing here. This was a very easy, simple thing. This, you could close your eyes and solve the problem. When Mr. Ure came up with that a report that someone or whistleblower gave him the information, go in-house as a leader. Look, you must have that wisdom. Meet your colleagues and discuss it. The only person that could solve that problem was the lawyers. Bring the lawyers in that did the work and say, is this what you gave us? Is this what you sent? Finish. You can put a group together. You bring the chairman from labor. You bring the chairman from. You brought a guy from UP who already said it was tampered with. You take another person from ALP, say it was tampered with, and you put them together. You want to be the judge and the jury? It's impossible. It's impossible. This was a simple thing. But because of what's going on, they believe that Mr. Cummings had another motive, and everybody must have an ambition. Mr. Cummings went into this race. He want to be president. He's not saying he must, but the fact is that that's his right. He wants to run for president. That's the right of Mr. Boyka any day. That's the right of Mr. Ure. That's the right of Yombli. So I would, if you ask me now, I would be honest and say, who brought the problem in the CPP? It's Mr. Ure. Mr. Ure, look, when you are a leader don't have personal things anymore. Everything that comes from out of your mouth when you get out there is a trouble. From the day Ure came out and said, well, it is my right, I'm going to support Mr. Boyka, you kill it right there. You are the leader of CPP. You're supposed to go to the convention, you hire motive and do all your lobbying. If you want to support Mr. Boyka, that's your right. But still, Mr. Cummings said, okay, no problem. I'm staying to this thing. I was one of those who said we should leave. Mr. Cummings, get out. Get out, because this thing here will not work for you. It will not work at the end of the day. But what was holding Mr. Cummings was that same document. We must learn to live by what we put on paper, my people. We must learn to live by it. When we get to that convention, there will be no problem. If Mr. Boyka wins, we will follow him. If Mr. Cummings wins, which I believe he's going to win, but I believe that most of the guys that are in the UP, and they said it all the time, I don't want to call names, that we will not support Mr. Cummings no matter what, or we will have to leave. That is what the thing holding them on, because we heard it from all the big boys. Although it never came from the political leaders' mouth to say, oh, we want to leave. But all the big guys that in the UP, the ALP, we heard it from their mouth that if we go to the convention, we will leave if we don't win. But everybody's stuck. This same document they used in 2022. That is why Ty One-Way could not go on the ANC ticket. And what his name, Edwin Snow had to leave the UP because he went independent. And James Silencer Diba had to go independent because of that framework document. That's neck law. It's not a CPP something. You can't register 2 times. When you finish, you finish. So that's it. And let's go to the thing my sister was talking about. You know, Ure made that statement. And Ure had an interview saying that. He gave a whole long thing. where you got to respect the oldest one. And Mr. Cummings came from America. No, after 25 years, I saw Mr. Cummings and he just popped up from nowhere and want to be president. Mr. Bwaka had been tested for 12 years. So I think more learn to respect the older. Look, when it comes to politics, it got nothing to do with age. And I cannot tell Mr. Bwaka not to run because Mr. Bwaka, once you sick and think and you can be 100 years old, that's your right. That's your right on say you won't want to run. But this is not about age. The age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. It's not about age. It's election. It's campaigning. If the Liberian people say we want Mr. Bwaka, we will take Mr. Bwaka. But let me tell you, if the CPP holds together, you can even take a dog and put them on a ticket. They will win. It happened in the Goni election. Everywhere CPP held together, they was together, they won the seat. Everywhere there was a problem, nope, they lost. So let's do it. It can be Mr. Bwaka. If we have a problem and we put Mr. Bwaka on that ticket, it will be a problem. If we have a problem and we put Mr. Cummings on that ticket and go facing George Weah, it will be a problem. But I am fighting for a candidate. They are fighting for a candidate. Let us have an open mind, brother. Let us come back to the table. But you see, integrity, when you build your character, when someone come out and try to damage it, it's hateful. You rather take your job and I can go along because my integrity can take me throughout. Yes, indirectly, people were all over social media. Mr. Cummings finger document. He did this, and we live in this country. Do you know what I mean by fingering document, temporary document? It's a crime, a felony. Let someone tell me here today which part of that document that people complain about that was going to benefit Mr. Cummings. Because if you go and steal, you want to steal to benefit. So what's in that document? Nobody, because the burden of proof is on ALP. The burden of proof is on them. That is why when we read a lawyer's note, they should have done a long time for the lawyers to come in. But after we mess it up, then you present it to a lawyer. But what I took from that letter is on number 3. And Mr. Modad talk about it. The structure and the substance. Y'all gave this thing to us to change it around, and we did. And we presented it to y'all. And Mr. Modad said they have not received any document. But according to it, they said they did it on Zoom. And this document was put into the WhatsApp where they do all the distribution. So it was not a hard copy. Who took the signing sheet around? The Secretary General from UP, he took the signing sheet around. And what they did, they took up the signing sheet. After the lawyers went through the document, fixed it, they took the same signing sheet and put it right back. They knew all this thing from 2020. Why now, coming to the end of this whole thing, we should bring confusion? Or because Mr. Cummings gaining grounds? Listen, that's politics. Now, I expect Mr. Bwaka, who I respect so much, an older man with wisdom, was supposed to nip this thing in the bud and say, no. Let's go indoor. Let's go and talk this thing. Every big company, big people to do that. Any problem, you go in-house, you fix it. You and your wife causing problem today. You can argue for the children. You go indoor, your trash is all right, they'll come back out and smile with the children. But if you put it on social media, what do you expect? I'm a human being. We got two flawed. None of them is perfect. None of them is perfect, but they are two decent human beings. They got flaws, but they are honest people. Let the Liberian people decide. Let the delegates decide. And the CPP framework says that if they go to this convention, they're not representing ANC or representing UP anymore. They are all members of CPP. Mr. Bwaka has the right to go to the ANC delegates and lobby. Mr. Cummings has the right to go to the UP delegates and lobby, and they will vote. Whoever comes out, that's it. That's it, my people. It's an easy thing. We got to put our ego aside. Yes, Mr. Cummings mad because his integrity was on the line. People insulting him. Hey, some of us have, thank God we have the thing. We say, Mr. Cummings, I think it is time that we can change it in a way. We can do this the next way. We can do this. But listen, my people, still, whether we like it or not, Mr. Cummings have been wrong. He was wrongly accused because
Mr.
we saw
Keshan.
people calling him names and insults. Nobody would like it.
All
Yeah,
right, let me come to the intermission quickly before
sure.
we.
Mhm.
If you guys just joining us, this is the issues room. We have two gentlemen in here who really want to make things clear here with regards to the rift in the CPP. the chairman of the Unity Party and now also chairman of the CPP, because his party is now in the role of leadership, leading the CPP with Mr. Boyka heading the CPP. Um, Mounir Keshan is a staunch supporter of the ANC. If you just join us, Issues Room comes on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. GMT. We're here on Facebook and YouTube. We want to encourage you. We see a lot of folks came on tonight. Just to throw a little jab at some of those folks who came in, Precious Carolyn Smith, Momo Sentimeni, Aku Joseph Koma, James Koya Jackson. We also want to welcome, let me get some names here quick. Justina Beverly Pajibo, um, Data Charlie MSP, Thomas Awaji, Few Will, Hassan Kiawu. We also have Tom Sherman, Abdullah Kiatamba, and a whole lot of other folks who joining us here for the first time. We encourage you to share the link, invite a friend, and let's spread the word. In the issues room, we discuss the things that matter, particularly to Liberia and the African diaspora. We are an alternative media platform here on Facebook. We try to do what is right by the people, for the Liberian people, especially. All right, Moses coming.
Yeah, so I
Just
just
a
wanted
quick
to
reminder. Just a quick reminder. We'll open the
mhm,
lines at 8 o'clock.
mhm.
Continue,
I
Moses.
just wanted to say that the communication that emanated from the lawyers, it did not vindicate anybody. It also did not indict anybody. So it puzzles me to see supporters of the ANC running on social media claiming that Mr. Cummings was vindicated. There's nowhere in that letter that says that Mr. Cummings was vindicated, and there's nowhere in that letter that says that hey, Mr. Boaka, Mr. Ure, Yombi, and the others, did something wrong. And I think the lawyers themselves created more problem for the CPP than doing good. I think they should have taken the position, even though they stated that hey, they were given the task to restructure the framework document, and they did that. But they should have taken a specific position. I say, hey, you asked us to do this. This is our opinion, but they didn't do that. So they created this doubt, and the ANC is running all over the place. Do you agree with me, Mr. Kishan?
No, I don't want to say public that I disagree with you. It's not a good word I like to use on people. But I will tell you this. You know, the Holy Bible is something that you can read St. John 3:16 and explain it the way you understand it. I can read it the way I understand it. But this is not about rocket scientists. When you look at the framework document, the lawyer's letter, I told you first, the first people they were to call was the lawyers. The first time the issue came out, that was the lawyers was the last group of people that handled that document. Yombly called the lawyers and gave it to them and said, is this what you presented? So when you look into the lawyer's letter, it's a shame and disgrace to Yombly. After we mess up everything, all on social media being politicized, then you want to put it on the lawyer's lap to come out now and say, okay, you guys wrong, or Mr. Cummings wrong, or this other person wrong. But what the lawyer put in there, let us be clear, because that one of the issues that UP and the ALP said they was not aware of, which Mr. Uri had an interview, and the clip is all over, that they knew that these lawyers did an amendment. The lawyer said, y'all gave us this document for structure and substance. And we did. We presented it to you guys. We explained and we turned it over. So there were changes made. from the numbers to the Roman numbers, and it's structured the way it's supposed to be. And they presented it and they took it there. So in number 3, this is not about, let us be honest, it's not written to say Mr. Cummings free or UP lie or Mr. Ure lie. No, 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 no. But the burden of proof is not on Mr. Cummings. It's on ALP. When you listen to the interview, one of the journalists asked the Deputy Secretary General, so the document you have that this was temple, where is it? He said when they come up with a report before he presented. So I asked myself, if I slap you and you go to court, who dare to prove that I slap you? You, not me. You will tell the judge that I slapped you and you must bring witnesses. So we stay asking ourselves the question. The lawyer said structure and substance. That means it was changed in the way they think that, because the first time it was messed up. And the lawyer said, no, no, no. They gave 10 different things that need to be added. If you guys want to make this thing right, you take the X, Y, Z. And they explained to them, and it was the COVID time. How can you sign a document on Zoom and you expect to get a copy? We put it in the document in the WhatsApp chat room, where the same place that Mr. Ali said, Mr. What his name? Mr. Ali said the invitation, that is the official place to invite. They put the same place that we put the document. That what Mr. Ali put the invitation for ANC to attend the program. So if you want to accept it now, so when they put the document there, so it was not okay. Nobody got no hard copy. It's just the same old copy that they gave to NEC. Now, this is the thing. You listen to Mr. Modad. He said, we need to bring this document and look at it. Look, if you take the document from NEC today, NEC and CPP is not recognized anymore as a group or political party. No. It's like you take out. You say, okay, thank you. I will come back and do whatsoever. But your senators will stay if you do it voluntarily. The only thing that blessing us, let me tell you the real truth. It's just that the government is broke. Because this government can push NEC right now and say, listen, just tell the CPP that the document is not even valid. They themselves fighting over it. So everybody who won the election, they got to get out. What will you do? Before you do something, you must think. Our leader should be the last to think. This is not rocket scientists. Forget about us. We will cause noise on social media. But I will tell you, you can go up. We must learn to follow the root cause of problem. The root cause of this problem came from burning our urine. If it was me, I would take that document indoor. I'm a leader in my community, which for the record, I just won again. I would go in, close door, and show this thing. I said, my man, it's not easy. You see what you just did? If we can fix it, we fix it. Instead of putting it on social media and giving it to some surrogates who get the biggest platform, can just go over the place. You mess it. If I see my name on social media, do you think I'm going to go behind closed door to take my name from social media? No. I will, because when you put it out there, I got to explain myself. So I will put it out there too.
Thank you.
Not everything go on social media, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is the problem for the CPP.
Thank you. So let me come in quick. Mr. Modad, do you think that there is an insider leaking out information to the public? Has there been any talk around it at this time? Because like you said, some of the things supposed to be in-house, but then it's getting out there. Is that something you guys are thinking about? Because if you cannot be tight-lipped on some of the very key and pertinent matters in-house, then you run the risk of continuing to face this kind of situation. And 2023 is right around the corner.
Well, look, let me first address the question posed by Madam Washington. But before going there, point of correction on what Mr. Keshan stated. No, there were hard copies. And one of my personal issues is the fact that those hard copies were not presented. And Mr. Cummings agreed over and over in my presence to submit the hard copies. This is what happened. You had a Zoom because of COVID. Each individual, participated via Zoom, signed one copy each. Mr. Mo Ali collected those 4 copies from 4 of them and went to each one of them to sign, the copies. using his protection as an individual. He took the copies to every one of them, and all of them have acquiesced to the fact that Mo came to them at various point in time to sign the full copies. That has never been debated. When Mo collected the full copies from each one of them and they had them signed, Mo presented the full copies to the ANC, who it was particularly received by Mr. Alosha Story. So let me clarify that. Now, going to what Madam Washington stated, the question Madam Washington asked, and I agree with Mr. Keshan on this. The fact of the matter is, every leader within the CPP, every political party within the CPP has the right to field a candidate for the presidential position. Okay? It is Mr. Cummins' right, it's Mr. Uri's right, it's ALP's right, it's the ENC's right, and so forth. It happens that at this point, we have two candidates from two political parties that are clearly front runners. And in the process of negotiation, in the process of creating consensus, we are expected, to negotiate with our counterparts. We are expected to engage each of the political parties. And we should expect that at some point in time, people or political leaders or political parties will give inclination as who they are leaning to. I mean, all the parties are doing that. So I don't think there's any crime to that. And Madam Washington, I think what Mr. Ure stated was cautionary. I'm not speaking of the fact up to the point where he declared in another conference or another program who he's leaning towards, but I think advising each and everyone to put aside the political, personal egos for the sake of the country, I don't think it was a wrong statement. I don't think it exacerbated what is happening now. Okay. Yes, egos are flying. Individuals believe, that their candidates are the best candidates. I believe fervently that Mr. Bwaka is the best candidate for the CP, is the most sellable candidate for the CPP, and is the one who can win the election. That's my personal belief, and I'm driving my party towards that. It's the right of every other party. So we should expect that kind of competition until we reach to the point where one of those candidates are selected as the political leader. And I can tell you, we have said this over and over, regardless of how contentious it is becoming. The United Party, the standard bearer, has stated he will stand by, the outcome once it's done fairly, and we stand by that. It is not our hope that this CPP collaboration should fail. We'll be the last to leave out of the CPP collaboration. And I can tell you, as the dust settles, as we all see reason in the next few weeks, and understand that we are best and most capable of giving the Liberian people the change they want by working together, as David stated, reflecting back into the previous elections. We saw what we accomplished by coming together. I think we'll move forward. I think we will not. I believe we will not disappoint the Liberian people.
So my question is, do you think there's an inside of feeding information that is creating all of this wrangling?
Well, I think one of the mistakes that we saw, and I think on one or two occasions that came from the ANC was making public releases of rebuttals to internal discussions, rather than waiting for the processes to follow through. Let me give you one example. When Mr. Keshan spoke about it was the responsibility of the political leaders to resolve the issues internally, there was an attempt to resolve the issues internally. And on one of those mean occasions, Mr. Cummins walked out of that meeting. I think you guys heard about it. And that was the beginning of the impasse. And I'm not justifying, some of the faults from any of the political leaders, but I'm saying that at that point in time, when you are a political leader going into discussions with your colleagues, sit there and complete the discussion, express your views. Walking out shouldn't have been an option, and that sent a lot of questions out there. Like that was when the Liberian people began to see that perhaps there was something greater than just the competition. And right there after Mr. Cummings released a statement justifying or explaining why, you know, why he left the meeting precipitated. But guess what? I think the very next meeting he did attend the meeting. So I don't understand what was the basis of what was the point in leaving from the meeting at that time. But again, having said this, uh, we will make every effort. We will make every effort because we believe that the political leaders owe it to the Liberian people to make this work. They owe it to all of us to make it work. Uh, Look, they say when you have reached rock bottom, the only other way is upwards, and we have reached this point in our national situation where we must realize that another 6 years will bring total devastation to our country in terms of foreign policy, in terms of national growth, in terms of all the pillars that should be bringing us, together. Look around us. Other countries are moving forward. Other countries are making progress, and we're still debating, a couple of issues that are mediocre.
Let me encourage the folks to call in quick, Moses.
Yes.
484-292-4397. 484-292-4397. Call us. The lines are open. You can call to engage our studio guests, or chime in or contribute to the conversation here tonight. Again, if you just joining us for the first time, this is the Issues Room. You can catch us on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. GMT, on Facebook and YouTube. We're broadcasting live right now as I speak with you. Now, as soon as I open the line, there's a caller right now. Apparently, this caller was waiting. Let me just take this caller quick. Caller, you're there. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Charles Yadi. I'm calling from Staten Island, New York.
You say your name is Charles?
Charles Yadi.
Okay.
I'm calling from Staten Island, New York.
Yeah, you following the conversation. What's your input?
Yeah, my input is that it reminds me of the Katakat massacre, where the MPSF wore the AFL uniform and he had committed the crime. And everybody in like say, "Oh, it's AFL is bad." And only to find out at last that it was not AFL, it was the MPSL. This is the same old strategy that is applied here. If somebody comes up with a document, you want to be a president of the country, you sign a document. If you don't have a copy of that document, or God in heaven sake, and you say somebody comes up with a document, you still proof the hard copy or your copy to say, look, this is the area that it was tampered with, and we just folding here and there. And so my own input here about this whole issue is just to derail the process, because they see that one individual is getting popular and he's able to deliver the goods, and they don't want him to deliver the goods for Liberian people. They want to just be able to say, to always be the sinful people. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I know Masa or Moses were trying to come in.
I was trying to
Yeah.
come in. Um,
Okay, go ahead, Masa.
I mean, from the look of things, again, I'm not a member of the CPP. I have friends on both sides, so I'm not trying to subordinate one group's interest above the other. But I would like to speak as honestly, honestly rather, as I see it from my lenses. It will seem to me like Mr. Ure has actually, or Mr. Ure created the situation of suspicion, foul play, and dishonesty from the beginning of this entire CPP collaboration to this point where you have all this chaos is going on. From the beginning, at the signing of the document last year, he stated that there was some rift between he and Boycott. There was some choice words, but that he was willing. He believed they can work together and they can move on. And we've come to this point. My point here is, and again, Mr. Modad, you made it, the issue, the point of Mr. Cummings walking out of a meeting. From what we saw on social media, and I was one of those who really didn't comment on the CPP issue because I'm not a member of the CPP. I wanted to be very cautious because, I don't feel like I know much about the organization. But from the way we saw Mr. Cummings vilified on social media and everywhere, even in mainstream media, the way he was insulted in the most horrible way, called names and whatsoever. It was really sad to see someone who only ambition is to be president of Liberia, and that's everybody's right, including all of the other leaders of the CPP. But the way Mr. Cummings was vilified, the way he was looked to appear like he was some crook, he was some criminal, he had a document, and then at the end of the day, it seems like it was all much ado about nothing. Let me just repeat, let me just read here. Sometime last year, when Mr. US spoke somewhere last year and he mentioned the framework document, and even he admitted that this document was work in progress. I'm quoting Mr. Urek here. He says, this document is a living document. Nothing in here is carved in stone. This document, I believe, will move from imperfection to perfection. Once we have agreement amongst the four of us, we will certainly make the changes or make the corrections to ensure that the aspiration of the four political parties are taken into consideration in this document. Now, this was last year when he made this comment. So, meaning that even he recognized that whatever they had at the time was a work in progress. Any piece of comprehensive such paperwork you work on it, even the Constitution of Liberia, sometimes it is subjected to amendment. So for the same Mr. Ure, who recognized earlier that this framework document was still a comprehensive document in progress, for him to come back and then cry wolf, it reminds me of a story I learned in the third grade where the animals were walking through the forest, and then this, I think it was a rat or something, it nut fell from the tree, and then he went running, yelling, "The sky is falling! The sky is falling!" And all the other animals in the forest, they didn't go to investigate. They all ran with the story, "The sky is falling," and it brought hell of a confusion. So I would think that for the way Mr. Like Moses said, unfortunately the lawyer's document didn't really vilify nor vindicated anybody. But again, I would think that such an important issue, if Mr. Cummings had really altered this important document, I think the lawyers will be brave and honest enough to at least say, look, this thing happened, let's, harmonize it in-house. But, to sit here and listen and see that all this was much ado about nothing because Mr. Ure was that proverbial, chicken little in the forest who cried the sky is falling when the sky was not really falling is a disappointment to to all of us. So my thing here is, do you guys think that Mr. Ure will really work with Mr. Cummings in all honesty with all of what is happening now? Do you guys think that this CPP collaboration will really work?
I mean, just before you come into that, let me just bring a caller in. The caller been waiting a while, and you were coming. Evelyn Pajibo from Georgia. Am I right? Hello.
Yes, Beverly Fajibo.
Is it Beverly?
Beverly Fajibo.
Oh, Evelyn. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Beverly Fajibo.
Okay, Beverly. All right. We got a lot of different names. So yes, I got it now. It's Beverly. All right. Go ahead. What's your contribution?
My contribution is first of all, this is Beverly calling from Atlanta, Georgia. Um, all these politicians, I can say politicians that want to be leaders in our country, they want to continue to make us ain't no dull because I way during have college degree. Yes, communication to the lawyer. We saw Yombi Kamba asking Arizona coming for the hard copy. And the hard copies was at first they didn't want nobody to partake in the government that is supporting, you know. So they put all kinds of things in this document that was not, conducive to body policy. And they asked for the lawyer's advice. And the lawyers came in as you know, citizen of Liberia. They came to do free work. They did all the changes. They take the document to them. They approve it. And then they turn around. You right there went in the caucus because it's a cost. As a new person in the mix, they dare you want to override them. So they came up with their bookers that next gave them the copy that was sent to them and it was not corresponding with the copy they had, which was lied. Next, they can say next is the George we are next. Next would not work on behalf of the CPD. If they do, then maybe they want to mislead them to make them fire among themselves.
So
But
what's the point you want to make?
Yes, the
okay, the point I
questions
want
have
to
to be short.
is you only ask the people for advice, and the people make it clear in the letter. Man, we're not going to write on your last detail. We make the changes to the government and to the document, and you have your copy. And this whole document will retire. If they say it's not true, then they go to next, then they bring the team back. Then
What
we
is your
ask the question
question?
and the
We are
She's
pressing
not
on.
asking a question. She's just making a comment.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm not asking a question.
All right.
I'm making a
Okay.
comment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Modad.
Sure. Madam Washington, you made a very strong point in, when you stated, when you read out Mr. Uri's statement. Again, I'm just responding to you, referencing Mr. Uri's statement. It's not in any particular preference. Uh, Indeed, Mr. Uri stated that the document is a living document that could be augmented for the benefit of the CPP. But you also read that, you also stated that he said that agreed upon by all four political leaders. And one of the contention here is that when it was taken back to the lawyer, was taken to the lawyers for their review, it should have been brought back to all the political leaders with the comments of the lawyers or the changes the lawyers made, that all the political leaders and the political parties should agree with them. Okay, perhaps there were lapses in the process, along the way, but that did not. That document, the changes that were made by the lawyers, did not come to the political parties for their review and comment. So that's a sticky point. Do I believe that Mr. Uric will work with Mr. Cummings and vice versa? Mr. Cummings will work with Mr. Uric. I think they would. I think these are political leaders, or I expect them as political leaders with experience to be able to iron their differences and to understand that the needs of the Liberian people come primary. Okay, and I think again, I believe that one of the best things that can happen to any institution will be change. And in this instance, we have a change of leadership uh, with with Honorable Baka coming in with a different disposition. Let's give him and the leadership of the Unity Party the benefit of the doubt. Let's move in, with accepting our current state and work towards developing, addressing those critical issues that are now on the table so that we can move forward. At some point in time, if you know everyone collectively realize that it won't work, it will be obvious. But we are not there. We haven't exhausted all the mechanisms that are before us, to address this situation. One thing people are forgetting from all sides is that while we are perpetuating uh, these little issues within the CPP and we're making them louder, we are not focused on our real objective, and that is looking at the current government, some of the issues that are evolving. I mean, we're not even talking about the enough about the escalating crime rate. We're not even talking about the gaps in our international policy. We're not talking about the skyrocketing of goods that are affecting the livelihoods of our people. So hey, perhaps it's a concerted effort by by our opposition, which is the government, the current administration of the CDC, to create that distraction. And we are sitting, we are strategizing, we are working, and I know from what I'm hearing from other uh, pundits within the CPP, we are realizing that we are on the wrong track. Let's get back together. I mean, at some point in time, collectively and individually, we're responding to national issues. We're engaging the development partners, our international partners, on several inherent issues, including issues with the NC, the voters registration process, the biometric. Those are things we need to refocus our energies on, and I think the leadership of the Unity Party will bring those things back to the table. We're working on the way forward, and I'm very confident we'll get the buy-in of the other political parties. Because I mean, we all are saying the same thing. We need to work together to make this happen. We all are saying the same thing, that if one person wins, we will all support that one person. We all are saying the same things, that the CPP provides the best alternative for the Liberian people. So understanding that, going through the process, what we call the logical framework approach, we have identified the issues, we have identified our goals, and it's just about that putting that mechanism together. And we were not I wasn't illusioned that I wasn't disillusioned that it was going to be an easy process. I don't think each of the political parties, when the political leaders, when they came together and subscribed to coming together, believed that it was going to be an easy process. But it requires leadership, it requires some selflessness. And at this time, one of the lessons that I have learned is that we need to control our zealots out there. We need to control, what comes out in public, and how even the political leaders, what they say out there. We
Thank
need
you.
we need to control that.
Thank you. It's about 8:28. We should be coming out of here at 8:30, but this conversation is important. We haven't really had the time to go around the room. I'm telling you, the line is so busy, but the number um, we're using here tonight is a little low. So I'm going to put another number out so that callers can call. Callers now refer to call 404-272-2808. 404-272-2808. So you can join us in the issues room. Disregard the previous number now. Call 404-272-2808. Please. Moses, I know you haven't gone. Let me let you come in quick, and then we'll go back to Masa, and then I'll come in with a question.
Yeah,
Can I say something before Moses, please?
All right.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
And please, I know I don't have enough time given to me because I'm watching my time the same way. And no disrespect, Mr. Modar having enough time to himself, but you I'm not speaking. I'm just looking at you guys as if I'm not even a guest on the show.
You are a
You
guest and
are.
you
No, no,
have
no. But I'm
program.
saying it. I'm looking at my time. I check it
But,
every time here. How long you
money,
speak for?
money,
I just know that I just want to be
money,
honest with you guys. That's all I want
money.
to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead,
You
money.
you you
Go
have
ahead.
No, no. Let
you've been
Moses
given.
come in, then I will come because there are things that I need to say. You know, when you get two people on the floor from two different places, they will say something. I need to come in, or one person at a time.
We're not.
If you know,
One of the things we're not doing here tonight is debate. If
it's
you
not
have
a debate. We
I'm
can't
coming
debate.
now. I'm coming. Money. Listen to me. If we have a reporter, you can say, "I just want to comment on what Mr. Modad said," and you were once given that opportunity to do that.
No, because
And
I
if
saw
you
you
have the
muted
same reason
you.
to do that,
I
we'll
was
be willing.
mute. I just noticed it, and I said, let me just
Moni, I
try it. And
Moni, I was also muted. I
yes, I
keep on
must say, I
seeing.
Yeah,
just saw. Yeah, okay.
I'm muting
All
because
the
there
microphones are
are a
muted.
lot of
Yeah.
interferences when you have all of these mics open. That's
Yes.
Okay.
why.
Okay.
So
So
Moses,
yeah. So I wanted to ask the chairman and Monique, and I would like to begin with the chairman. Mr. Chairman, I heard you use the word reconciliation. In the process of reconciliation, someone has to admit a guilt. How do you guys intend to reconcile uh, the political leaders in the CPP? Do you people look forward to any public apology or admission of a guilt? Any of you can go first.
I think let's not dwell on giving apology or admission of guilt. I think we'll evolve to a point where we understand what went wrong. I think the next step, and when we had our strategic meeting with our standard bearer, he was clear the next step that he envisaged is the full political leaders sitting
Yeah.
themselves, sitting back, coming back at the table, uh, uh, and understanding, where we are and where we need to be, and if collectively they can get on the same path, they can trickle down uh, those positive progressive sentiments to the parties. We who are cheering will implement as far as all the parties are willing to go. Okay, and I can tell you, I'm not beholden to anyone. And sometimes there were point in time I was even accused of being too friendly with Mr. Cummings, of being too friendly with Musa Belete. Uh, and I've said this over and over. There will be a point where we draw the line, the political line, but that political line will not affect personal relationships. Okay, and that's one of the problems we've had in Liberia, and this is one of the problems you see with the disposition of the current administration. We are not going to, regardless of how much the zealots out there or those who want to see the CPP fail will want to bruise such within the CPP, we're not going to fall for it. When we get to the political issue, we'll discuss it, we'll find solution, we'll disagree. Sometimes we'll scream, sometimes we'll cry, uh, but we'll resolve it. And what all the political leaders clearly understand that they are stronger together. Okay,
Okay.
we
thank
are
you, thank you,
stronger together.
thank you.
So
Money,
so
just quick, man. I have so many callers in queue, so if you want to come in for 2 minutes, quick. Uh,
yeah, we need to go on that question,
yeah,
Mr. Kisheng. What is the way forward in terms of reconciliation?
Well, the way forward for Mr. Cummings, he's okay with everything. They brought their case out. They need to prove it. They need to either take it back. But I think the old Liberian people apology because if you cannot prove nothing, you must say something because a man's integrity is on the line. Let us just do. Look, if you lie on me and I know you lie on me, you can take me anywhere. You must clear me out. So you brought the problem. You must be a man enough to say, listen, I think it is time that we move forward. But if you cannot say that and you think I should come crawling to you and say this, that, look, if you tell me about the CPP holding, I'm not 100% sure anymore because there are people there that would listen to. We still have contact in Liberia. They're telling us, no, 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 we cannot stand, we cannot do this. But we're just waiting. We are the one that holding it, whether like it or not. We are the one because we still bend. Mr. Cummings has bent his back so many times when it comes to CPP. Like Mr. Modad just said, I was going to say it. Like he was accused so many times. In fact, the youth were even trying to tell for him to resign that he received money from he got money from Mr. Cummings. So you see, every time when things going good, Mr. Cummings bribing. If he's not bribing, he's ready to do something else. We need to stop it. We need to come together and work and make it work. But if we can, on our side, we prepare. If Mr. Bwaka wins, we will support him. But let us go to the convention. Let us get the delegates there and let them decide. Simple. We don't need
Thank you.
to and start running all over the place.
Thank you. Let me go to this caller. Caller, are you still there, caller?
Yes.
Go ahead. Make your comment.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is James Jarrett, and I'm calling from Ohio.
Yeah, you got a minute quick.
I want to direct this question to the chairman, Mr. Modad. Mr. Modad, I'm concerned about Mr. Bwaka. Mr. Bwaka is somebody who they say that he's the guy who got the wisdom. He can put people together and all of that. And I watched him at the party headquarters the last time when Joby was turning over to him. Is he well? Is he okay? Because to just be mute from the beginning of this and all of this and he's still mute, is he okay? Does he understand what's happening?
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you answer the question for me?
Let me go to the next caller. Hold on. Let me go to the next caller, and then you'll come in. Caller, are you there? The caller from 267 number. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. What's your comment?
All right. My comment is to, I want to say good evening to everybody, the family. Listen, look, we can't have our cake and eat it. I don't know why everybody acting like we're supposed to be stupid. Europe brought a case. He said people tampered with the document at the NEC. The first thing is, any sensible person who's receiving that complaint will say, who told you that, what was tampered with, and when? If that person cannot give this answer, that's not a case to be investigated. The second thing is that it's supposed to be either a criminal matter that somebody at the NEC fumbling with people's documents and giving information outside. That's supposed to be a very secure place. The third thing is the person had could come and tell you the document was tampered with. That means the person has something to compare it with. So all these questions have not been answered, and you take a case to go investigate. What are you investigating?
Thank you, caller.
For those who want to say, for those who want to say the lawyer's letter didn't answer the question, the lawyer's letter did answer the question. The question was somebody changed something on the document. The lawyer said they did. Okay? They said they didn't have the document. The lawyer said every one of you were there when we presented the document and you have it. So that's the answer for the question.
Thank you.
The question has been answered by the lawyer.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Thank you.
Cummings is dedicated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was just a comment from his end, but the question that has to do with the health of Chairman Bwaka.
Well, he said he asked from the program. I think the owner was dynamic at the program. The senator was dynamic at the program. And look, regardless of age, it is prudent to be reserved and calculated before you respond to issues. And with that character that he has, I think it has saved us a lot of disgrace and a lot of confrontation, between the parties. As the oldest and most experienced within the CPP, he has a lot of responsibility. Even before assuming the chairmanship of the CPP, a lot fell on his lap or falls on his lap to make sure that there's unity. It- We need to understand this. You have four political leaders, four individuals from different backgrounds, have their constituents, have their opinion. And, like some of us, you have to rise in authority to understand what happens when you have authority. And I think he has done a marvelous job in trying to remain objective. And when he came out in that program and was categoric that he will take up a reconciliatory position and try to resolve some of the issue, it demonstrated sapience. It demonstrated the kind of wisdom that we want to see.
Thank
I'm
you.
not I'm not eluding that there isn't wisdom or the other political leaders are not smart enough. Uh, for the fact that we have gone through 3 10 years already and the CPP is still holding, it's just another phase, and I can guarantee you we will move forward with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Quickly, I mean, I'm not able right now to look at some of the comments, but I know that people are kind of cross-firing and a little bit of insulting. We don't tolerate that here in the issues room. The issues room bring together people with intelligence, people with poise. No matter how much you differ with a view, we have to disagree professionally. There will be no one here allowed to use insults. This is not one of those ordinary platforms. We are an alternative media platform, bringing together professional people representing Liberia and our common patrimony. The things we're looking for here tonight is to just make sure that we're on the same page and it's all about our country. We have a caller on the line. The caller calls from New Jersey. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Phil Kamara, confidence, New Jersey, Newark.
All right, you have a minute, sir. Make your
Yeah,
comment
thank you
or
so much. I appreciate the show. I've been following it. This is the first time I've followed this platform, and thanks to all of the guests on the show. Um, my point has to do with the goal of the CPP. You know, collaboration is very good, but when it doesn't have a single objective to win the election 2023, then it makes us difficult. It make it difficult for us to decide where to go. I think the issue of collaboration is the unfit President we are. But what I see in this collaboration is to denigrate one another. It's not about unseating President we are. It's about even promoting the ascendancy of President we are 2029. The Union Party, the ALP, the ANC. So far in this collaboration, the ANC happen to be one of the major factors in this collaboration. But I see it being like three versus one. Alexander coming on the other hand, and the ALP and the Unity Party on the other hand. But this is what's going to happen, and it is very clear, whether we like it or not. If you take a back of 2017, if Alexander Coming did not want to see President Weah's ascendancy, of which he considered as a bad governor, would have made a decision 2017 to support Ambassador Barker. Likewise, other political parties. If they did not coexist to come together, look at the future of Liberia at 2017, what is the possibility they can look at Liberia future at 2029? I see it very difficult. I think it is disingenuous to Liberian people to invest their interest in this political party, and leader of the party can coexist. Their member cannot coexist. And the Liberian diaspora is one major factor that is creating more divisions in this political party just for selfish and personal gain. Where are we? No one is talking about Liberian population in this disenfranchised population living less than dollar per day.
thank you.
Coming is accused. The people who are Joseph Baka don't want to see Cummings. Cummings don't want to see Joseph Baka. People, the Liberty Party. So how can I invest in the CPP, living in the diaspora, looking at the future of Liberia 2023? It's difficult for me.
Thank you.
So I want the guests to talk.
Yeah, I think is for both Kishan and Monique, rather Monique Kishan and Amin. This guy seeing just from what trending on the grounds, how can he put his investment in the CPP? And that's just one Liberian in the diaspora. I'm sure that thousands and thousands of diasporans, Liberians or diaspora Liberians rather thinking the same.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, to the callers. Listen, it is time that you have to take a side. You either support the CPP or you just don't want to support the CPP. If you think that the grass is green on the other side, the same problem CPP going through today, for fact, CDC is going through their own because there's a big problem in the CDC compared to the NPP and the CDC. We all know that. But listen, you got four political leaders coming together with four different ideologies. It's not an easy thing. It's better that we started early with all this Rick Monroe, which I believe if we put our eye together, we will come back and make it work. But you said something. He said something I'll pick up. Why Mr. Cummings cannot just go with Mr. Bwaka and whatsoever so they can make this thing here work? But why if I say why Mr. Bwaka can just go with Mr. Cummings and then also make it work? We are going to go this way and that way. That is why they got a convention. We go to this convention. Nobody ever run for vice president. And if UP felt that it has this number, the numbers they always talk about, they had no right to even joining. If you got the numbers, why are you wasting your time to join? Nobody got these numbers. We want a one term. We want to take one shot and get George Weah out. The best way to solve it is to go to that place and let us. A handful of people can just come on and say, let's go. But let me tell you something. Mr. Bwaka knows Mr. Cummings very well. It's not today business. I believe Mr. Bwaka was the only person that could call Mr. Cummings one-on-one. I'm not the one need to get on the social media and say, let Mr. Bwaka go, let Mr. Cummings go, Mr. Bwaka. You call Mr. Cummings, and if you are interested, you say, listen, Mr. Cummings, I want us to get a team, put a team together. But Mr. Bwaka sat down for 1, 2, 3, going to 4 years while Mr. Cummings was still going around. Before a handful of people came out and said, oh, Mr. Bwaka going to run. You are the oldest one. You are the man with the wisdom. You call Cummings in the room, forget about Yomli, forget about Ure, because you need it. If I want a position and you running for that position, I can call you and say, listen, why can't you go on my team? Let us have a dialogue. If we can agree, maybe when we get to the convention, when I win, I give it to you. Maybe Cummings will say, no, let's just go to the convention, sir. It's between the two. But when we hear people in this other party, oh, it's Bwaka Cummings team. Everybody had a vision. They have an agenda. They want to be president. And everyone has the same shot. There is no one above their friend. So this thing here, it can work. The people in the diaspora, the UP supporters, let us stop telling another man to go as VP.
All right.
Why
So
if I come out and say, let Mr. Bwaka go as VP? Let us go to the convention and settle it and let the Liberian people decide.
Mounir,
Yes, the
I have
delegates
to
are
interrupt
representing
you.
Liberian people.
I have to interrupt you quick. I have the first caller on the issues room from Liberia. Let me
Yes.
take this caller.
Go ahead. You won't miss it.
Yeah, Mr. Caller, are you there? Calling from Monrovia.
Yeah, I'm Timothy Sonny Smith calling from Monrovia, Maryland.
Welcome to the show. You've been following. We're discussing the situation regarding the CPP. What's your contribution? We'll give you a minute and a half since you all the way from Monrovia.
Liberia.
Yeah, I really want to appreciate you so much for the show tonight, and I just want to say something on your show. There are issues on ground that we need to address, and Mr. Cummings and Mr. Bwaka, they're the two people that we know in Liberia that want to take George Weah from power through the election. So my advice to them here is they need to put the issue together, because we the voter, we the election, we are the problem. And right now we cannot let ourselves down, my brother. As I monitor your show today, I will share with all the chat group. I will show it to all the people around, because we on ground, going from slum to slum, going from place to place, the 17th district in Montserrat and the 15th county. Everything that's going on in the CPP, we monitor them, we following them. Because the situation in Liberia now is about all of us. We have to be focused and come together, because right now, there are two people. They need to get together and come out to the Liberian and say, look, we are together, but in unity we can do it. All they ring my road, going through, coming through. There are issues that are affecting the ground. And affecting us. We the voter. We made a mistake. And right now we are deciding, we're talking to each other in our community. We're taking community leadership. We try to put our act together to go back to the 2023. We're not secure. There is right now talking about money quickly coming to the country. Nobody asks the question. We even know the color of the money. So my advice for them today, Mr. Cummings and Mr. Bwaka are Timothy Smith. I want to show supporter of the opposition for the interior to Maserado. We need you to get together because you cannot say you want to be leader of the country and you win your PF, you just take state power. Then where is our way forward? Because we need prosecution.
Yep.
We need justice and according to the rule of law. So if the leaders are in power, they respecting the rule of law, and you're not going to come to power, and you will sit there, you can have common ground. Where are we going? So thank you so much for your show, my brother.
Thank you,
I really
Timothy.
appreciate you today.
Thank you. Spread the word. Spread the word. Let's take the last caller before we wrap this thing up. The caller calls from, I believe, a 240 number 9900. Caller, what's your name? I think you said Aliyu.
This is Aliyu Kamara, commonly known as Aliyu V. Samba. I want to say a special hi to the Honorable Party Chairman of the Unity Party. I have two concerns I have two questions followed by just a statement. My first question is to Mr. Modad. The ANC keeps running with this thing about they're going to hold the remaining political party to the agreement that if anyone leaves, as a matter of fact, no one can leave. If anyone leaves, they cannot operate on their own. I want you to clarify that. Another thing about this black vote, I know that there's a difference between collaboration and merger. And I do know that the political parties merge. I know it's a collaboration. That means that you guys still have your independent roles and rules within your various political parties. If you decided that you wanted, within your political party, that you wanted to do a block voting, can Mounir Keshan and the ANC determine what you do in your political party, like Mr. Cummings did the last time by refusing to attend Joseph Buckeye's program when he was selected as the senator of the Unity Party? So I wanted you to address those two.
All right, let's be fast now. I got too many callers, caller.
Okay. Well,
right.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you. Let me take this next caller from Liberia. The caller calls from Liberia. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead. Are you following the show?
Very well.
All right. Yeah, just make your quick comment or question, whatever you have.
Yeah, this is very important. I just want to thank Chairman Modad and also thank the ANC for mounting the courage to reach thus far. But more especially, I want to congratulate ANC for being so cordial in the process, for not breaking away to allow the Liberian people to lose their hope. One quick thing I want them to do, let them apologize to Cummings, and then they should also stress an olive branch to the Rainbow Coalition. Look, there are a lot of people in the Rainbow Coalition that are willing to join the CPP. We should not let them out. Allow our collaboration to extend to the coalition of Rainbow. The next thing is that Cummings is important as Waka. Waka is important as Cummings. The both of you need to sit down and advise our dear brother right in the States there, Costa, to cease the kind of firing ways. And because of the importance of each of these people in Liberia today, we can say in any way that we should insult all of them. At this juncture,
thank you.
We like to encourage the CPP to now start up to investigate this artificial rate that has dropped. And the people looking up to CPP for a lot of things. Investigate it. People can go on the liberty and say US is not bad and you have a whole lot of inflation on the market.
Thank you.
Will depend on CPP.
What's your name and where you call from in Monrovia?
Or Cooper. I'm calling from Central Monrovia District 8.
Okay, thank you. We'll take this last caller because this caller been very much persistent. Caller calling from a 6494 number. What's your name and
Yes,
where you
hi.
calling from?
Hi, my name is T. I'm calling from New Jersey.
All right, come in. What's your contribution?
All right. This is my take on the whole show tonight, okay? I hear people say the people that call in for like Brazil, depending on the people to hold together and to be able to depend on them to deliver them or to, to defeat your way. But the whole thing what we're not seeing is Apple, the way these people like what's her name, Miss Washington said, the way these people disrespected this man. How he was a stranger, he just come in, nobody know him. He should take his time. He should sit back and wait for his time. And this is the thing: if somebody so much of a stranger, he got all the character, like they said, bad character. Why they want him to go as a VP to boycott? Why? And like where is the country if that man agreed to go as a VP, if boycott messed up, it reflects on him. So to me, as a Liberian in the diaspora, I feel like they should go to the primary, they should do everything they can. Let the best person win. If they win, if Boyka win, we always support him. If Congress win, we always support him. When we all Liberia, when we leave Liberia, we come to America. When we better ourselves, we say, okay, let me take something back to my country. Then the people calling you stranger. That was the message. They kept on calling the man stranger. They degrade this man. They degrade his character. They need to apologize in so many ways.
Thank you.
Okay, because what they for him were wrong.
Thank you,
So
Mom.
that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. All right, callers, we're done for the night. We're not taking no more calls. Tonight was call rich. I'm telling you, Masa. I think we tapped the record for calls tonight. So we there's another call from Liberia. Wait a second. Let me take the call. Let me take this
As,
last call.
as
No,
our guest,
no,
as
no.
our
One
guest.
minute,
Oh,
one
God.
minute.
Oh yeah, let
One
me
minute.
just take the call.
They
Caller
got three
from
They
Liberia.
got three mulatto men on the
Yeah.
show, so you
Hold
get a
on.
lot of people calling.
Hold on. Hello, caller. Yeah, good
So
evening,
ready,
caller.
buddy.
You calling from
Yes,
Nigeria, right?
yes, yes.
What's your name and what part of Liberia? You got to speak out a little loud.
I'm George. I will hold it at that for now. But
Oh,
I got some few issues that I just wanted to bring. From the initial stage, we are all mature people, and we as Liberians, we this government that came into power, we got our own frustration, we got our own trauma, and stuff like that. So it was a relief to us for this coalition. But to see the way things are going, especially with grown older men accusing each other of things. It put us in a state that, everybody just confused. And what actually annoys me is if there was an alteration in the document, I expected us to come to the round table and talk it Indo because everything that is being done, the CDC is capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
If you cannot get their house in order, they are going to capitalize on it and they will go for their second term. Mr. Yuri came up with his allegation. Mrs. Kanga came up with her letter of whatsoever it was. What were they supposed to do? We expected them to come together, handle it in a professional manner, and get back to us. But we can't be coming, one person saying this person lying, the other person saying the other person lying. You're sorry to say, I don't have anything against him. I don't know him. But I want to ask Chairman Momad a question there, the UP chairman. I want to know who is the spokesman for the CPP. Because every information that comes out of the CPP is from Costa. And everybody knows that Costa is being run by Ure. So, I used to wake up every morning and watch this guy show for almost 4 round years. But since this situation, I'm not interested.
thank you. Thank you. All right, so, lady, gentlemen, we have reached 9 o'clock. I can see the chairman. He's like, we didn't know you were going to be here this long tonight. And even Mounir. But let's go around the room and wrap this thing up. I know that we can't answer all the questions here tonight. Again, it was wonderful. I got another call coming from Oregon. It's just listen. This tells you, Mr. Chairman, Mounir, Masa, Moses, how the CPP
Of course.
means so much
Yeah.
to change the livelihood of the people. And what is happening now within the CPP, people are beginning to have second thought. So let's go around the room. Closing statement, Mr. Modad, Mr. Keshan.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
had
Moda.
a, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Money.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks. I want to say thanks to Amit for taking his time. I know by this time he's supposed to be relaxing, and I myself supposed to be relaxing, and everyone there. And I want to say thanks to the viewers, and
Yeah.
for those who gave the negative comments and the positive one. I want to say thank you. That's your right to speak. But I pray that the CPP will work, and we must do everything. And I say these things most of the time. And it's now of I'm not trying to disrespect some other mulatto guys, but it's very hard to see mulatto people really giving false information. The good ones will try the best. Don't get me wrong, my brother. We there, but we try to do everything. It's what we live on. It's our name. I hope tomorrow they don't say that I may say something different here, and I might go after him. But let our leaders put their hands together. And I will say, and I will stick by it. We must learn to go to the root cause of problems. If we cannot do that, we'll not solve the problems. We can't be pushing things away. If that's why my wife, when she come and says someone slap her, I want to know how the slap started. I'm not just going to jump there. Yes, I will comfort her, but I want to know what you did. So somebody started this problem. Leadership is a hard thing. And when you're a leader, you have nothing personal. Don't say it is my right. No, it's not your right, because everything comes from out of your mouth. It's a problem. So we pray to God that the new chairman, the new leader of the CPP will see wisdom, because he should have spoken a long time. But he can still do it. It's not late yet. But I think the people of Liberia need something. Because I will tell you, I'm speaking from fact. Uh, it's painful. I do not allow people to tarnish my name or my character. It's painful. They must say something. Mr. Bwaka must come up with something for the Liberian people to understand, say, yes, we're ready for peace. Or else, I don't see it yet, but I hope it will happen with the way I hear my brother speaking. Maybe it might change tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But let us be friends to each other. Liberia first, and we should put our country first. I'm not going to say anything about Joshua right now, because come 2023, I'm not ready about Joshua. All these things we're talking, we know what to say when we're ready. So I want to say thanks, guy, and that's a very good show, and I enjoy my time.
Thank
You
you.
enjoy your time, but you didn't get plenty of time.
Yeah, I ain't got no plenty of time. I
You
just
got
had to
plenty of
switch.
time. I
So
will
now
check everything. I
I
will
come in
check
to go
it.
live. I come in to go
I will
live
check
now
it.
by the time you leave.
You go live. Go ahead, Mr. Modad. Go ahead, sir.
Well, to you, Volcano, Masa, and Moses, I thank you for hosting us. I thank you, Mounir, for participating in a very professional manner. To the Liberian people, I'd like to reassure you again, we should not be disillusioned. It's the process, it's a democratic process that we are fulfilling. We are fulfilling the aspirations of the people. We have four political leaders in a collaboration with the array of constituents behind them. We should expect a give and take process. We reassure everyone that in the next couple of weeks we will pursue, the culmination of this debacle. It starts with bringing full political leaders back on the table, bringing the parties back on the table, and completing that investigative process. And at the end of the day, the results of the process will determine uh, will determine the strength of the collaboration. It's not about pointing fingers and ultimately saying Peter is wrong or Paul did something egregious. We need to take responsibility also. Uh, one thing for sure, the CPP will take responsibility for this debacle, and we'll move forward with it. We'll move forward with a solution. Uh, the framework document should be the instrument. It is the instrument that should be guiding us, and we're perfected. Our the framework document states that it can be modified, it can be amended, up to 6 months before the, the the presidential election, and there was a reason the clause is there. Uh, but this process is a huge opportunity for us to backtrack and perfect that document to create a stronger collaboration. I would like to apologize, to everyone out there for the semblance, for the feeling that we are at loggerheads or we are fighting, and we reassure you that we will correct the situation. So I thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Modad, for giving us 2 hours of your time tonight to discuss the internal affairs of the CPP and how it presents to the Liberian people. And you said some very good things here tonight. We hope that in the coming weeks, you guys will put your acts together because time is of the essence. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate you and don't be a stranger. Masa, Moses, I tell you, the conversation here tonight could have gone anyway, but we kept it civil as much as possible. We had so many callers, but what's your take on it, Masa? From the conversation gathered here tonight, and do you see a better future for the CPP going forward?
Well, I must say, I'm impressed by the both gentlemen who appear tonight, but I'm really impressed by the chairman, Mr. Moda. He's the new chairman now. I'm impressed by him. He seems to have a sort of calm and maturity about him. And I think he will do well as chairman. And I think we had a silver discussion here tonight because the issue room set the tone for it. But then also our guests, we must give them credit. Our guests were silver. They came here prepared to discuss the issues. And, they did discuss the issues. Sometimes, they had to discuss some hard stuff, but they did keep it civil and informative. I also, my final word here tonight would be that for me, I come from a human rights background, so I'm concerned when I observe human rights violation taking place anywhere, even in my own family. They call me the human rights woman. The way the entire CPP thing played out in the public, it was ugly, it was mean. Mr. Cummings, I see him as the primary victim. It appeared like he was gang up against, and I think with all due honesty and fairness to him, I think they should retreat in house, take all this thing from the public, retreat in house, look at the root cause of what happened and address it. And then, people should be magnanimous and fair enough to say, look, it was a misunderstanding. We didn't expect it would have gone this way. We're sorry. And then Mr. Cummings also should be magnanimous enough when people reach out to him, he should accept it in good faith and move on. I would also like to say here, as a female advocate for women as well, Youngly Kanka had a tough time as chairman of the CPB. I mean, she was dealing with all these crises, all these issues, most of them not of her making. And I don't know how much of it from the beginning she understood what was happening. It seemed to me like, a lot of this thing was thrust upon her. And I would also like to see members of the CPP reach out to Youngly, and because she was really disrespected. She was disrespected as the only woman in the midst. I think it was unfair to her. We need to learn to respect our women, especially women who dare to tread, in this political or limelight. So I think they should also reach out to Youngly and and make some amends and whatsoever. But I wish the CPP well. I hope they will get their act together, and let's hope for they see them come together and make a run for 2023.
Moses?
Yeah, I think it was a very good discussion. It was pleasing to have Chairman Modad of the Unity Party and our friend and brother Mounir Keshan of the Alternative National Congress (ANC). Both gentlemen were able to clearly articulate the vision of the CPP. And the number of phone calls that we got, that also shows that Liberians at home and abroad, a good number of them have interest in the work of the CPP. There are people in Liberia and abroad who believe that the CPP is the way forward. especially those who are opponents of the current administration. So it will make a lot of sense for the CPP not to let these people down. Um, those who called, those who took up the time to even listen and view this broadcast, that means a lot, you know. So it was a good discussion, and I hope that there can be peace in the CPP in the months ahead. Other than
And,
that,
yeah, and as we're preparing for this conversation, we
mhm,
we we were thinking, what is the CPP doing?
yeah,
You're the last hope for the Liberian people at this time, because
mhm,
no single candidate, I would believe, from what I've seen, what I know, can win President Weah, seat his government. Needless to say, if you have this divide in house and is very visible and is it's all and the sad thing here is people need to be careful how they take to Facebook or particularly social media.
right.
At this time, an organization like CPP should have a consensus before they even go to any media,
Mhm.
rather than pockets of people coming up. Um, and again, you know, I see a lot of comments here. They're saying that Benada Ure is the problem for the CPP, but the guy has made it clear he's not there to be president. He just want to put his weight behind somebody so he can enjoy in the next phase. So he's not
No,
here
but,
for
but look,
but a lot of people here writing. But let me just acknowledge some of the folks here tonight. We have Mildred Deco. Welcome to the Issues Room, your first time. Gary M. Howard. We want to encourage you guys to share the link. This is the place to be. We are an alternative media platform. We're not the everyday media platform. This is a group of professional people with broadcast and print and electronic background in the school of journalism. We've come thousands of years ago to be here. Combine our experience
yeah.
was spanned more than 80 80 almost to 100 years. So we want you guys to join us Tuesdays and Fridays. But Celestine Sibe Tarpe, Propo King, welcome, foreign guy. David Booker, Justina Beverly Pajibo, um, Angel Pa, Ben Sanvi. Well, that's the chairman, right? He's also
Yeah,
considered
of
to
the
be a
Liberty
chairman.
Party.
Ben, good evening and welcome to the show for the first time. Florence Taylor, Clinton George. We have Nabai Masekwe. Welcome. Joseph Boy Cooper, Nancy Ruth Anderson, Albert Tear, Timothy Sunnyball Smith, and that was the guy who called from Liberia.
Mhm.
Data Charlie, Rebecca Gaussy, um, James Koya Jackson, Thomas Adwaji, Prince Double, J. Roosevelt, Wada Boto, um, Maltida Wure, so many people here tonight. Uh, then Eskandagai Masale the second. But I thought it was a good conversation. Hopefully it brings hope to the Liberian people. At least we've thrown some light on this matter, and hopefully the head of the CPP right now, Ambassador Boakai, former vice president, will bring his colleagues together, and they can harmonize things and put things back in place and proceed to the primary and see who comes out, and because they don't have time,
No,
with
they
all this
don't.
internal bickering, Massa, they don't have time, no time.
No time.
There's no time, and because like I said earlier, we have less than 26 months to 2023 elections.
Yeah.
And if you go back into history, in 2020, the December 8th midterm election, the CPP outperformed the ruling coalition. So it speaks to the fact that if the CPP actually get its act together, the likelihood of performing in 2023 is very high.
And you said something, Mr. Weah could not win the presidency with a high coalition.
No,
That tells you he cannot go independent.
no,
And
he
if
cannot.
he went independent, let's just hypothetically say they also have their infighting. But
Yeah,
who knows? Who knows what could change? So the coalition, no one person can be president right now in Liberia. No
no,
one person. You got to
no,
put resources and energy, talent, minds, and money together. To get to the top. Um,
absolutely.
but I think that's where we're gonna end tonight. We're 9:15 right now, so to bring the theme song in here. Pastor look like she ready to go.
My friends are
No, I
exhausted.
mean, I'm not sleeping. I'm wearing my glasses. I'm just
Okay.
sitting thinking. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking that the CPP has work to do. Like one of
Yeah.
the things they need to do is to pull all those social media zealots, like the chairman Modad was saying. They need to really rein them in, talk to them because the social media zealots have really they were like the major like adding gasoline to the fire. They were toxic. They were rude. They were unsympathetic. They were disrespectful. They need to read them in. They need to talk to them to stay off social media and take the CPP matters out of social media and stop insulting women. Young Kanga, stop insulting the leader, stop insulting Boyka, stop insulting Cummings.
And like I said, that's the risk. Anytime you put your personal business out there on social media, you've made yourself vulnerable. Particularly anything that will question your character. And that's what the CPP has done. And whoever, that's why I asked the question: do they think that there's an insider feeding the public, disclosing what is the internalizing and discussing? Because how everything they talk about will be all in the media, you know. So Moses, Massa, your thing, man. Listen, let me speak the Liberian way. I thank you, man. So we can we can we can get out of here tonight. But I
Thank you
want to thank
to
all of
let
our
me say
viewers
thank
out
you
there
to
tonight
Master for
for
coming. It was a
yeah.
pleasure. It's always a pleasure being in the issues room.
Okay, guys, you have a great weekend, and it was definitely a very good night, kicking in the weekend. Thank you.
Thank
We want to thank all of you, our viewers and listeners, wherever you are and wherever you picked up signal from tonight. This is the Issues Room. If this is your first time coming through on our broadcast, we encourage you to join us every Tuesday, 7 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I rather GMT, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 p.m. GMT. That is for those folks who are in the Greenwich time zone, particularly in parts of West Africa. Again, we had a wonderful time with you all. We saw a lot of new folks here. Continue to follow us, continue to like us. We encourage you to share the link. We encourage you to support us. We're here for just the same reason, to ensure that Liberia gets the best. Don't you think that a lot of us are tired of being exiled? Some days we want to go home. We really want to go home. We want to be able to contribute to our countries, reawakening our countries, revamping, getting our country back to where it once was. And we can only do that collectively if we put our resources together. So again, we want to encourage all of you to continue to share the link. We'll be back here on Tuesday. We haven't decided yet what we're going to be discussing, but again, I quickly want to remind you that the Issues Room is not just about Liberia. It's about the African continent and Black diaspora. So we could talk about anything that has to do with uh, 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 our kind. We could be talking about Haiti. We could be talking about Jamaica. It just depends on what's trending. So again, we just encourage you to continue to invite a friend. Thank you so much. My name is Volcano Shelton. On behalf of Moses Sandy and Massa Washington here in the Issues Room, good night.